Yes, you should attack Jimmy Dore. I've heard complaints of the left fighting itself, but Jimmy Dore isn't on the left. He's a grifter, and the sooner it becomes apparent that he is to those on the left, the better it will be. I've said before that after Trump, the next target should be grifters like Jimmy. They are among the biggest threats. I like an enemy I can see, and it's the enemy that comes up from behind that is the most dangerous. Adolf Hitler came to power by appeasing the left, calling himself socialist, and of course he was anything but. People like Tucker Carlson are trying to appeal to the left as well by pretending they are against the elites, but he is so vague it seems incredulous that anybody could believe him. And yet that is exactly what Jimmy Dore is doing. The importance of support and its two forms. An important tactic by Malcolm X and the Black Panthers, and for any movement to be successful, is the importance of allies. Southern blacks have traditionally sought to appeal to white moderates, and that is perfectly fine. I know Malcolm X detested that, but I don't see the problem with doing so. Of course, Malcolm X did eventually change his mind on this. While he never accepted the idea that blacks and whites should work directly with one another, and he had a good point, he had no problem towards the end of his life accepting that some whites are genuine in their desire to help. Most Americans are products of their environment. I know if I was raised in a different environment, I could have easily turned out to be a Republican or a racist. Same difference. I don't like how mealy-mouthed MLK is, and I certainly condemn the way he endangered his followers. But I will give him credit for understanding the importance, that not all whites are the enemy. The importance of international support, though, can provide a whole array of benefits. You have a place to run to if you get in trouble with the law. International boycotts can affect the whole country and bring it to its knees, and you don't have to be a moderate in a foreign country. Partly what possessed Malcolm X to seek international support is because he was seeking human rights as opposed to civil rights. When you argue civil rights, you get bogged down in what the law is and what the founding fathers intended. And there is an impenetrable argument any racist or conservative can give. If the founding fathers intended black people to be free, why didn't they do so when they wrote the damn Constitution? But if you are talking human rights, there is less room for a conservative to maneuver. There is nothing humane about oppressing black people. MLK started to realize this, which is why he said, if there are immoral laws, there are immoral laws, like there are immoral people. But of course, the implication is that the founding fathers and the nation's leaders are immoral. And when you suggest that, your main supporters are moderates. And if they are moderates, then you're going to lose your main allies. When Martin started to rock the boat, he was lambasted, predictably, by moderates, and it's why he wrote Letters from a Birmingham Jail. To me, Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois exemplify what an activist should be. They were violent when violence was needed, they were nonviolent when it was tactical to be nonviolent, and they appealed to white moderates when they needed to, and sought international support when they were able. For whatever reason, activists branched off into two extremes, the spineless followers of MLK and the somewhat reckless followers of Malcolm X, although I think towards the end of his life, Malcolm started to become more practical. The Black Panthers began to merge these two types of thought. They accepted white people, they sought international support, and they were very aggressive vocally. However, their undoing was that, at least until the end, they were apolitical, and by the time they started running members for government like Bobby Seale, it was too late, and the party was broke and couldn't run any further campaigns. Because they had no control in the government agencies like the FBI had free rein to crush the Panthers. Now, activists have learned the importance of having a man, or more often today, a woman, on the inside. We have the squad, which hopefully will continue to grow, and with its growth, the power of the marginalized. Why I think the new atheist movement was a good thing. God is real. To me, for a deliberate to me, except for a deliberate misunderstanding of the argument, I'm not sure how anybody can argue with the prime mover argument. Infinite regresses are impossible. Therefore, there must be a prime mover. This prime mover must move itself, and to do so must be self-aware. It's an airtight argument. Nevertheless, in retrospect, I view the new atheists as a good thing. In fact, even when they first emerged, I thought so. I recognize the terrible plight that evangelicals had on American society, and a counterweight was needed. This speaks more broadly to polarization in general. Most people I talk to are averse to polarization. They seek compromise and the middle ground. I have a very different view. Polarization is a good thing. It is evidence of a pluralistic society, whereas I can't imagine a homogeneous society without some sort of force applied to create and maintain that similarity. Humans naturally question. Anybody with a child knows this. It's part of what makes us human, to question, and so only through coercion can you create a society that doesn't do so. It takes a very oppressive society to take a curious child and turn them into an automaton. This is not a society that should continue to exist. This is a society that lacks freedom and acceptance. And the new atheists, as much as I disagreed with them, I favored the change they brought to American society. This is one that praises critical thinking rather than condemns it. It was a movement that, for whatever its failings, created a renaissance of free thought. Another reason that art tends to be liberal. I've said before that the reason artists tend to be liberal is because their profession requires empathy, oftentimes. There is another reason I realized art tends to be left-leaning. If you are selling something people need, like food or water, people will pay just about anything to get it. They will most certainly pay for food before going to the movies. But if you make a movie about injustice in society, then going to that movie is far more imperative than just going to see a blockbuster for entertainment. Suddenly, going to that movie becomes your civic responsibility. When society is doing poorly, films criticizing society do better, obviously. Both because the films are more relatable to the audience and because people are looking for solutions to their problems. To me, seeing a film about activists is just as important as donating to those activists directly, because films and art have a power to popularize an issue and are powerful tools for swaying public opinion. One of the biggest contributing factors to the Civil War was Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was the biggest selling novel in American history. Lincoln had every right to greet Harriet Beecher Stowe as the little woman who started the Great War.